Hey, Steve-O here with Nova Gaming, and today we're wrapping up our multi-part series for Wardens of Avalon. If you haven't been following along, we've been playing through the Alpha Playtest for this game. It's a unique blend of Diablo-style camera mixed with some skill-based Souls-like combat, a little bit of survival craft, and some city building. The game doesn't have skill trees, but it does have a magic craft and upgrade system and gear and equipment upgrading. So plenty to keep you busy. Not to mention a nice cross section of bosses and mini bosses and fetch quests to send you around to go find things to improve your kingdom. There's not a whole lot to worry about as far as the plot goes so far in the playtest. It seems like we're all in the afterlife. King Rither's the big bad. He's on the warpath. And we just showed up, and we're going to make everything right and save the day. So that's about it for that. To get you all caught up to speed as quickly as possible on what we've done in previous videos, we started out with the tutorial where we learned the basics of offense and defense and dodging around and parry mechanics and casting spells. From there, we went through kind of a crafting order of operations to get our first initial basic tools and then gather various resources to make better tools and then better weapons and then better armor and so on and so forth. And we built out a bunch of stalls in town in order to facilitate the harvesting and refining of various resources. We've also gone on a few fetch quests and done a few favors for a few NPCs. We've killed some people here and there, a couple of named bosses, and so on and so forth. Along the way, we've also found some cool spells and some cool unique weapons, and we've done lots of exploring. At this point, I've run out of areas that aren't blocked off for the playtest, and I'm running out of side quests that I think I can do. So we're just going to kind of do an action montage, and I'm going to jump forward to some cool combat and things that I found, some fights and some mini bosses, and we'll wrap up with some final thoughts. So let's get into it. Alright, so I have teleported to a part of the world that has a bunch of elites. And it can get real hairy real fast if you aggro all of them at the same time. Now, we've seen this dude before plenty of times. He attacks in threes. Three wide arc swings that have a larger than 180-degree arc, so you got to be a little bit careful when approaching him. But you know, just use your Dark Souls skills, and you can either block if you've got a weapon that has block, or you can roll through his attacks. I'm being kind of lazy and just kind of taking him on head on. I'm not being very strategic here, but despite my poor play, he still went down pretty easily. And there's this cool chest over here that respawns and has some pretty good goodies in it, but check this out, right? Look at all these dudes, and there are more dudes right around the corner too. Now this crossbow dude is a first. This is the first and only one of these guys I've seen so far. I didn't really know what he did. I didn't realize when I started fighting him that he shot a giant AoE. So be mindful of that. If you see orange on the ground, don't stand in it. He also shoots these flaming trails of fire. You don't want to be standing in those either. They'll chew you up over time. He doesn't seem to have much health though. I'm able to take him out here pretty easily, but you know, definitely want to be careful. I am dangerously low on healing items, so I'm gonna break out the scythe here and harvest some berries and some fibers, get some bandages going. Alright, so there was a quick cut there. This guy that I'm tangling with right now, he beat the hell out of me, and I died and came back and did a corpse run. I unfortunately stopped watching my health bar, and he got me one good time. I could have healed, I had plenty of healing, but alas. I don't know what it is about this game. you know, the health bar is dead center on the screen, but I often find myself just ignoring it. I don't know why. So we got the Lover's Promenade. The Lover's Promenade is the site of a particular side quest that I received from a person under a bridge not far away from here. I have a mission to kill 2 knights that are standing up there. This guy's pretty tough, because he's got, not only does he hit hard, but he's got corruption as well. You see that like kind of red splashing off his weapon when he attacks? That's corruption. If I take too many hits of that, it'll fill up my corruption gauge, and then I'll start taking damage over time. Yeah, this guy's all bad news. I finally figured out how to upgrade my spells. In previous videos, I was lamenting the fact that I didn't know what was needed to do it. I don't show it in the footage here, but basically it's a stall. It's a crafting station. Once you'll find these seals that you can add to talismans. Talismans are your spells. And the seals will add like +5 of a particular damage type. And that's how you, seems to be the primary way to upgrade magic. Long story short, the way you attach the seals you find to the talismans is with a weapon refining station that you'll build later on. I'll tell you what, this guy, I think these guys are the most dangerous guys in the whole game. At least for me, I had a real hard time getting the timing down for these mace wielding guys. I find them to be far more difficult than the sword guys. And everything they do seems to stun. You can get messed up pretty quick misfighting these dudes. Using my lightning spell here. Super effective. I don't know what it's called right offhand, but the spell that makes storms spin around you is awesome. It's great for clearing out giant mobs of people, and it allows you to do damage to larger enemies from a little bit of a distance. Super useful. Yeah, these skeletons are easy, but these particular ones have corruption. You always gotta watch out for corruption. Corruption's one of those things that if you're not careful, it will kill you. Let's switch to the mace. Right now I'm running around with 2 weapons. I've got a mason shield and a sword and shield. They're both pretty similar in damage. One I crafted, and the other is a drop from either an elite or a mini boss. I don't remember exactly where I got it. But the way I have upgraded the sword gives me +1 magic per second. It gives me +1 mana. And then the mace, it doesn't have any benefit like that, but it is better at stun. So the sword does more damage and has mana regen, but the mace has heavy stun. So, you know, you kind of have to make a decision what your priorities for combat are going to be. I prioritize stun, because, you know, once these dudes are stunned, they're not busy stabbing you, and you get a few seconds to get some shots in. So this area is pretty tough for the playthrough. There are lots of elites. There's a quest I can complete by killing knights up here. I have to kill two knights. Those barrels almost took me out of this world. But I end up running away from the challenge because I don't have the healing items you're about to see here in a second. I've been up here a couple of times, but there are these 3 enemies. I think it's the 2. So unfortunately, when you get close, they shoot their crossbows and detonate those barrels. I've thought many times about trying to lure the guys across the plank to the barrels and then blowing up the barrels to kill them. But they always shoot when you get into any range. I think I gotta just kill those 2 archers and I complete the side quest. But the 2 archers and the boss, plus I have no healing items on me, there's no way. So I hate to say it, but that's just part of the playthrough. I'm not getting done. I don't come back here to do this. Not happening. I'll tell you what, this place is dangerous as hell with all these exploding barrels. And then this is a dead end. I'm sure eventually there'll be something cool through that fog gate, but not right now. It's currently blocked off for the playtest. It's not ready yet. Or just, you know, they don't want anybody going through there yet. So I ran over here to de-aggro these enemies to try to not get killed and stuck in a spot where I just die over and over trying to do a corpse run. Luckily, I can drop down here to the side and get out. It's really just a no-win situation for me without health. I don't have the resources to make any health items. I gotta go on a resource run. I can fight this guy, but honestly, to tell you the truth, there's no real point. I mean, he's an elite. You know, I'm not gonna get anything good for it. I end up just cutting bait on that one. I come up here to see if I can get through the fog gate or whatever. But then I ultimately decide to do a tactical retreat here. It's unfortunate. I really want to kill the dudes on the bridge, but, you know, it's too dangerous. I feel like it's one of those, like, super cool challenges you can try to do for the alpha. But I bet when it comes to the 1.0 release of this game that, you know, you probably don't take on that challenge with the current skill level that I've got. I feel like, maybe skill level's the wrong way to put it, but I don't feel like with my current armor and equipment and the strength of my spells that I have equipped, that I really am strong enough to take on that side quest. So, I don't end up going back. So, we're going to go ahead and jump ahead. Right outside of town to the east, I was trying to get into this garden to kill these druids, and I came across this guy, whoever the hell Rubelax is. Just this totally random boss. Took me a minute to figure out what his attack pattern was, but yeah, not too hard or anything. I believe I killed him first try. He just, you know, he does this kind of circular ground shockwave attack, and there are gaps in the rings so that you can have a place to stand where you don't get hit. I think I just hold my shield up the whole time. I don't know what the name of that fire spell is, but it's super effective. I actually found that spell twice. I do believe coming up in the footage is a spot where you can find one of the two instances of that spell. Yeah, so that's Rubelux. Or however you say that name. And I got a pristine pearl or whatever, which is a upgrade item that is used to upgrade a specific crafting stall. So, you know, it takes certain base resources to upgrade stalls, and then it takes certain special drop items from bosses to upgrade them further in a lot of instances. So what you just saw there was another instance of me hitting a dead end for the alpha. So, and I just start running into more and more of those, and that's kind of why this is going to be the last video and the wrap up for the series. I've had an absolute blast doing this all, by the way, but and I still have a lot of uncompleted missions, but I don't have the time or the energy to try to complete some of them. I think some of them are impossible to complete in the Alpha Playtest. Maybe, maybe not. But either way, this series was meant to just be a first look and a very basic playthrough. I'm not trying to 100% the alpha or anything, so I'm fine walking away from some of this and leaving some of it undone. But really, I just want to get a good feel for it and decide if this is a game that I actually want to own or what. Here's another dead end. This is a... Actually, no. Let me take that back. That's not an alpha dead end. You're about to see here in the footage. I'm gonna find a way to actually drop down to a pretty important area, and then that's the exit. Hey, skeleton priests. I hate these guys more than anything. I'd rather fight the big dudes than the priests. There are two types of priests that I've been able to discern. There's one type of priest that puts a red pentagram down on the ground that does some kind of AoE. Yeah, this guy right here. You don't want to stand in it. But he's a pushover. This guy dies pretty easily. Also not a fan of that spell. I don't know what it's called, but it doesn't do enough damage. I don't like it. Anyways, yeah, the guys that put down the red pentagram, they're pushovers, no big deal. But then there's a version of them that puts down a yellow pentagram, and those guys suck ass. They not only spawn ads, but they completely heal themselves in the process. So it's not that they're technically challenging to fight, they're annoying as hell to fight, because they're constantly regenerating their health, and it makes everything take longer, and it's enough to drive you nuts. Well, it drives me nuts. Here, speak of the devil. There's one right there. I hate these guys. They have way too much health, or regen way too much, way too fast, in my opinion. Could be a skill issue. Maybe I just need to be more aggressive, or maybe it's a DPS check. Like maybe it's a sign that I don't output enough damage rapidly enough if I'm having trouble fighting them. It could be any of those things, but out of all the enemies I faced, they were the most obnoxious, in my opinion. Not enough to make me stop playing, but enough to make me complain to you all about it. I did find most of the enemies in this game to be pretty entertaining, pretty challenging, not impossible, not a pushover, I felt like the challenge was pretty good for the most part. I do feel pretty underpowered in the alpha. I'm not exactly beating people's asses or anything. It takes a lot of hits to kill people at present with my current gear. I'd be curious to see the full playthrough of the game and see what it's like to actually become overpowered in this game. I feel like I'm far from that reality. Now these skelly boys, they don't, They don't take much to kill, but I don't think they're supposed to. They're just supposed to keep you from being bored. But they're not really supposed to be hard, as far as I can tell. So I grab a few things in here. You all have seen this, this cathedral or whatever many times. The main difference is that I take a path here off to the right that I was afraid to take in previous episodes. There's this, there's this, horizontal beam out here. There's no jumping in the game, so if you drop down, you can't easily get back up. There's fall damage as well, so I was afraid to even walk out here previously. But I noticed in the daytime, there's this tree that acts as a ramp that allows you to drop down. Plus, I saw resources, and I thought, well, hell, if there are resources in a location, you're meant to be able to get to them. So that kind of clued me in that that wasn't a death sentence. But the only way to get in this area, as far as I can tell, is actually to take that beam to that tree and drop down. And that brings you here to this underground cenotaph or whatever. That's got to be the best spell I've found so far, that storm one. See how effective that was? That was great. And this is where we find Enid's tomb. And you find a cool fire spell down here. So the fire spell you get down here is one that ignites your weapon. So you get fire damage on your whatever you're holding. Though to be honest, I never tried it, so I don't really know how much damage it does. That fire circular AOE caught my attention so much that I primarily used it. That and the spinning lightning, storm, whatever. Enid's tomb, Lady of Flowers, we long for your return. May you rest in peace. So I looked around here for a little bit, trying to see if there's any other hidden stuff before I bolted. I felt like this was a pretty important place. It did have, a good spell drop, but I didn't see anything else to do in here, so I left. Well, I guess the obvious thing to do in there is there's an objective to drop off 200 flowers, so I kind of pulled out my sickle and thought, oh yeah, I'll give that a shot, but then I realized that would take ages and kind of lost interest in figuring out what she dropped for 200 flowers. And then you just kind of follow this path, and you're back out into the main area. Well, there's a good opportunity to grab some iron here before we leave. So you get some good iron, you get some purple plant, whatever purple plant is used for. Got some good resources. And this is the exit only I was talking about. This is a one-way path. You can only come out of here, down these steps. You can't go back up the steps. It's one way. So, truly the only way to get to that little area is to take that beam and that tree trunk. Alright, so I end up heading back to town, taking care of some storage, looking at some side quests I can't complete, and I decide to try to do the main challenge. The main challenge is a raid on your citadel, your castle, and the whole idea is basically a bunch of skelly boys run at this gate here called the Citadel, and they try to destroy it. You've got to eliminate all the waves, and then there is a named boss, or not a named boss, but usually a couple of elite bosses. And it's a little harder because you get more than one major elite fighting you at the same time. But I did my best for this fight to try to get as many heals and things ready to go. Another thing I also did was I installed these gates in town, these portcullis gates. I thought that they were supposed to slow the enemy, but I don't know that they do. Also, I've got citizens that have combat skills, but everybody seems to disappear when a fight starts, so I don't really know what the point of their combat ratings are, because I never see anybody fighting alongside me. So, anyways, we tried to knock this thing out as our last challenge. So we got some skelly boys. This is how it starts. Alright, so far so good. These guys just kind of spawn from all over, but the main thing is they make a beeline for the little headquarters command center behind me. So I just make sure I stand between them and it. Usually it's easy as can be until you get to the very end, and that's where I think that this is designed more for co-op. At least the balancing. You'll see what I mean here in a minute. All of a sudden I'm going to have quite a few of them and a couple of elites all attacking me at the same time. And it's a lot. You could make an argument that perhaps I don't have the right gear level for this encounter. That maybe I need better armor and weapons in order to do this challenge. That could be the issue. This could be a lot easier if I had the next tier of gear. Tell you what though, these guys are a bit stronger. I do take a lot of unnecessary damage, just lots of little chips here and there. I was pretty tired when I played this. I wish I had taken on this challenge with fresh eyes. But check out how many people just kind of show up here at the end. Luckily the magic takes him out pretty well, but here in a minute I'm just going to get absolutely cold-cocked out of nowhere, and I'm not entirely sure what exactly killed me, but man, I got killed like instantly. Alright. Let's not die. Doing stupid things. Yeah, I got shot. Yeah, I don't... It must have been an archer. So you see me here try to equip and use this curative bomb, which, according to the text, sounds like it's a continue, but it doesn't seem to work that way. I don't get it. I drank this last time before dying, and it didn't save me. And then I tried to save it for after dying, didn't save me. Alright, well, it could be a skill issue, but I feel like that fight is balanced more for co-op than single player. I think I'm gonna wrap up with that. Alright, well, that's a shame. Guess I'll go collect my stuff and maybe repair. It's a good challenge at the end. It's tough. You definitely want to bring good gear to this fight and lots of healing items if you can. It's not too bad until you get to the knights at the end. The knights at the end, well, they hit real hard. And it's bad enough fighting some of these enemies one-on-one, let alone multiples of them. Alright. Well, guys, that is going to do it for me with Wardens of Avalon. I did want to beat that challenge, but I don't think I'm going to. Oh, I gotta get some soul fragments. Yep, I gave it the old college try. But I just don't have the frame of mind, and I don't think I've got good enough weapons to do this. I know one of the challenge, or one of the side quests here was to... It was to forge a knight mace. I think that's the next level up of weapons. They'll probably do significantly more damage. I have not figured out yet how to get those weapons. I don't know if I need to beat this challenge so that I can upgrade the forge and that'll allow me to do it or what, but I think I've gotten a pretty good feel for this game and what it has to offer. I think with continued development, I think, you know, this game's got a unique vibe to it. The whole top-down Dark Souls with some, you know, city building and survival craft. Very lightweight survival craft. But I think it's a good combination of game mechanics and elements to make an overall appealing product. I think they've got something really unique and interesting here, and it should be a whole lot of fun for a whole lot of people once it's ready for showtime. I know right now they're, you know, still in active development, and this is very much a play test, so everything you've seen here, I'm sure will get a polish pass, a balance pass, and will be different in many different ways by the time it releases. But all in all, I've enjoyed this journey. And, you know, I kind of wish that there were more games like this. I wish more companies would take a chance and make things like this. Because, you know, sure, the Path of Exile and Diablo, games like that are fun and all, but the combat's not skill-based. You just hold down the button and you kill millions of things around you without feeling like you're doing anything. With this, you get the same kind of vibe and aesthetic of a Diablo, but it is very much timing and skill-based combat. So, you know, not the hardest thing in the world. You know, granted, I've been dying to that last challenge, but that challenge is tough. The regular enemies in the game aren't that tough. Who knows? They might get harder by the time 1.0 comes out. But, you know, it's a good level of difficulty, I'd say, right now. Enough to give you a challenge, to keep you from being bored, but also you're not going to be throwing your controller or throwing your mouse playing this game either. It's not the hardest thing in the world. And then, you don't even really have to think that hard about the base building. Some people might like that, some people might hate that, right? It's like, some people want the freedom to place structures and things wherever they want in a given space and really make their town feel like their own. Other people hate that kind of stuff and just want to get into the action. So this gives you something in the middle, right? You don't really design the buildings. You pick from prefab structures. But then you've got all these different bays. So if I were to come back with a fresh save, I could change where all of these buildings are located within the confines of the bays that they can plug into. So, you know, I've already thought of ways to make the layout more efficient for next time. I've got some stone working stations that are really far away that next time I would bring up really close, you know. So you get a little bit of freedom to design how your castle layout will be. I think the whole servant system is interesting, where you bring people back to life. You find souls out in the wild and you bring them back to this fountain, and you spend some currency and you get workers that you can then equip at these bays, and they have stats for how well they craft or forge or whatever, which will improve the efficiency of the bays. That's neat. Now, something I don't think they've got in the game yet, or if they do, I haven't seen how it works exactly, but those people also have combat stats. And I've done a couple of raids here now where enemies are in town, and I haven't seen any NPCs pick up a sword and try to fight them off. And maybe that makes that challenge at the end easier if they're fighting alongside you. I don't know. But I don't even know if that's how they're intended to be used. But I have noticed that whenever I do the challenge where enemies come into town, all the NPCs in the entire town disappear. So if they're going to disappear, what's the point of the combat stats? So I'm sure there's more to that system that I don't understand or know about, or that they're currently in development on. So I'm curious to see what the final incarnation of all of that will look like. Otherwise, I think they've really got something here. The graphics are nice, the combat is smooth. There's plenty of bits and bobs to keep you interested as far as crafting and upgrading. There's spells to be found, bosses to tangle with. They do need some more basic enemies other than just wolves, but you know, I'm sure all of that is coming. So, on that note, so far so good. Can't wait to see more. Can't wait to see what the next version of this looks like. But until then, this has been another episode of Null Value Gaming and our coverage of Wardens of Avalon. If you like the video and like the content, feel free to leave a like. If you want to see more, you can always subscribe. Otherwise, you all have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you here on the far side.